Hello and welcome to this Hurricane Laura update. It's just after midnight on August 27th, 2020, and the Eyewall is nearing a landfall. And what we have now is an extreme wind warning. So this is basically like a tornado warning, but over a large area because the winds are going to be so destructive. And what it basically means is you cannot be outside when you have this kind of wind warning in effect. And you can see here is the eye coming ashore. The eye wall is starting to the eye wall is starting to come ashore, and it's going to get a lot worse. We're gonna get some more radar images here. I think they have a few more radar images. Here we go. So here is the radar again. You can see that's that pink. That's that extreme wind warning. And it's heading right for Lake Charles. So Lake Charles is over here, and here is the eye. And Lake Charles, unfortunately for them, they're going to probably be getting into the northeast eye wall. They may not even see the eye. So I was watching the Weather Channel, and they're doing a great job covering this. But the other TV networks are like pretending this doesn't even exist, which is crazy. You know, they're always still they're talking politics. It's unbelievable. CNN, I'm looking at you especially. Thank God for the Weather Channel. They're out there doing covering this all night. They have people in Lake Charles, which is going to be ground zero for this. These towns could really get wiped off the map. So let's take a look at the latest on Hurricane Laura. We're going to read the public advisory here as of 10 p.m. Central Time. It is about located about 29.0 north, 93.2 west, about 75 miles south of Lake Charles, Louisiana, and about 75 miles southeast of Port Arthur, Texas. Maximum sustained winds remain at 150 miles an hour. Now, remember, just about 5 or 6 miles an hour, and it goes to a Category 5. But even if it's a Category 4, it's going to be Category 5 type damage because this is a very strong Category 4. And, at this point, the difference between Category 4 or 5 isn't going to really matter much. This is a terrible storm and a terrible disaster that's about to take place. It's moving north-northwest at 15 miles an hour. Minimum central pressure 939 millibars or 27.73 inches. At maximum sustained winds, hurricane force winds extend out up to 60 miles. So it's actually a fairly sizable storm. Not as compact as some of the models are indicating. It's going to be a little more compact. This is actually fairly sizable. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 60 miles from the center, and the tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 205 miles from the center. Now, let's go ahead. I'm not going to read the rest of this because we're going to look at the satellite here, and again, you'll see here this is making landfall. Look at all that convection. Just a perfect symmetry. This is a classic buzzsaw hurricane here, and when you see that buzzsaw look, you know that this is going to be a major storm and a major disaster that's going to be taking place over there. Let's look at some of the observations because we have some really strong wind gusts already coming in. I have 73 mile an hour gusts at this oil platform here. We already have gusts up to tropical storm force already taking place, but there is a hole here, and this is where you're going to start seeing those really crazy wind gusts. They'll probably be so strong that the anemometers probably won't even be able to measure it, and these weather stations may not even be able to report. But this is the area, again, that is getting Lake Charles in particular. This whole area is getting affected quite significantly, and it's going to be rough for the next at least 3, 4, 5 hours in this area. Let's look at the power outage impact right now. We have about 20,000 power outages in Louisiana. This number is going to go way up. Cameron's completely out, but I would expect almost all of these counties eventually to turn red as this thing goes in because there's no power grid that's going to be able to withstand these kind of winds. I think it'll be a complete blackout pretty much in the area once that eye wall gets in to some more populated areas. Like I said, it's just coming in along the coast right now. The other thing is we have some lightning, I believe. Let's take a look at this here because they were noting this on the Weather Channel, and that there is lightning with this. These hurricanes don't usually have a lot of lightning, but this one has some lightning. So it's just a sign of just how intense the convection is. You don't see any strikes popping up right now, but there is lightning around here in this storm as well, and that's just another indication of just how intense this storm is. We're going to go to windy.com and we're going to take a look at this, and we will track it because this is what it looks like right now on windy.com. So you can see here is the Eyewall. The Eyewall, and this eastern Eyewall is the most significant part. These are the sustained winds, and Windy has them at 120 miles an hour, but they're probably higher than that. And you can see here is Lake Charles. So let's take a look at what happens here. It's just 12 a.m., so we're going to move this over to 3 a.m. Of course, this is based on the European model, but I think this is actually pretty accurate. So here you go. It looks like it makes a landfall around, the eye makes a landfall around Cameron. And as we get to 3 a.m., Lake Charles is going to get into that eye wall, and they're going to continue into that eye wall. Let's see, the Euro unfortunately keeps them in the eye wall, and they don't really get into the eye. The eye goes just to the west. And Beaumont will get the western edge of the eye wall too, but that's not the worst part. It'll be that eastern part there. And one thing to note here as I pan out, is that even once it's going to take a while for the storm to actually slow down. So even if we go to like noon tomorrow, where it's in northern Louisiana, you're still dealing with a perhaps Category 1 hurricane or at least a very strong tropical storm. So the power outage potential is going to continue all the way up through Louisiana, all the way up into Arkansas, and this is Thursday afternoon. It's still continuing to Arkansas. You still got, and again, these are sustained winds, so you're still dealing with tropical storm, even as far north into Arkansas. It's going to take a while for this thing to finally start slowing down and lose its circulation as it heads out of Arkansas. But that is going to be a slow process. So we're going to move this back to now. We're going to look at the gusts because, again, this is not the this is the low end. The maximum winds are this. And when we look at this, you'll see here 175 miles an hour. So this is insane winds. And you can see the whole area in these yellow here is going to experience this destructive wind. It looks like Beaumont may just miss on it. They may just miss it, but Lake Charles is going to be in the center of it all. 150 mile an hour plus winds there in Lake Charles, and this wind continues throughout the state of Louisiana. And as we head into 10 a.m., you will see we're still dealing with these very strong winds. Here we are, 10 a.m. tomorrow, and you still have winds over 100 miles an hour in central places like Shreveport and northern Louisiana. You're still going to be dealing with power outages. Much of the state is going to lose power, except for the eastern, southeastern portion of it. Most of the state is going to be out of power. I would say probably 80%, 75 to 80% of the state. And then it moves into Arkansas. And here we are, and it's still a hurricane. Even the year, this is still saying could still be a hurricane. It's going to take a while for this thing to wind down because it's such an intense storm. Here you go, Little Rock gusts up to hurricane force. So it's really the circulation remains. Here we are into Friday noon, and we're still got the circulation with gusts over Arkansas here. This is Friday afternoon here we're going into. Let's see, Friday 4 p.m. We're still dealing with the circulation. And look, that circulation is still there. Here we are Friday evening, and there's still a circulation here, which is insanity. Which really shows you how long it's going to take for this thing to wind down. It's going to go over Tennessee, maybe cause some scattered power outages there, and still gusty winds, even as it moves as it starts getting toward western North Carolina into Saturday. And you can see here it starts becoming part of the major system, but we may see some strong winds here on Saturday. I'm wondering if we'll see any strong winds from that. We do have some gusts up to 29 miles an hour. I wonder if probably not. The worst of the wind seems to be confined to the Carolinas, but it shows you just how intense the storm is and how long it's going to take to wind down. So once again, this is Hurricane Laura bearing down on the coast here, heading right for Lake Charles, which is inland, but a low-lying area. There's going to be heavy storm surge flooding and inundation in this area, and a lot of power outages. So I cannot believe that CNN and all the other stations aren't really talking about this. I guess certain demographic doesn't really care about hurricanes, I guess, but that's who they gear to. But anyway, there you go. Classic buzzsaw that is lore as it churns northward and starts its destruction in Louisiana. And I'll probably have another update in about 2 to 3 hours.